Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to my channel. It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. I hope you're all having a magical day and living your best life. Today, I'm going to cover the coming new moon that occurs on July 24th in constellational Cancer. That's right. We do constellational astrology over here. This video is for members first until about mid next week. Then the rest of the public will get this video. So I'm very excited to share this with you. I've called this reading the Purge because this new moon is directly opposite of Pluto. And anytime a luminary travels over this part of the sky right now in opposition to Pluto, there is a purging energy. And because we are talking about constellational Cancer, the energy is a little bit different because tropical astrologers will have this moon at 0 degrees of Leo. A little bit different energy. We're not there yet, and I'm going to break it all down for you. Okay, so I will have some announcements interspersed throughout this talk. I wanted to get right to the astrology for you guys. We're going to, at the end of this, go over your individual reading for the new moon and the full moon, but based on your constellational soul sign. That's right. The sun is also called soul. So when we are talking about where the sun was in our astronomical birth chart, we are talking about soul. So you'll be wanting to look at the list of dates so you know what your soul star sign is. And I'll be reading those for you, not just for this new moon, but also for the full moon. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, friends, I wanted to share with you the actual night sky. I'm using a program called stellarium-web.org. This is a free interactive astronomical software program that takes all the data from observations and puts it into a very nice manipulatable and graphical interface. And so what I've done is I've advanced the day to the actual new moon at the actual time. And when you come into the program, you will see this. You will see the sky. This is not an eclipse. This is just positions. Okay. And what you can do is go down here and remove the atmosphere so that you can view the sky as if it were dark. Then you can also take out the landscape or put it back in. You can also add the constellational tracings, and you can add the constellational art. And I like to do this, and I like to show you this because when you're doing astrology, astro is study of the stars. Tropical Western astrology is more of a calendarology or a seasonology that uses the names of the actual constellations to name their monthly cycles. And I actually have a spreadsheet. I'm going to show you how different it is when we look at it before we get into the presentation. So here we have, you can see it. If I zoom in, if I just roll my mouse and I zoom in here, what constellation do you see? That's right, you see Cancer. If tropical were true, if it were actually describing where the sun was in the sky, then you would expect to see the sun right about here. But because of precession of the equinox, these stars drift so slowly with respect to our calendar, about 1 degree every 72 years. It's almost imperceptible. And we've stopped looking up at the sky because we stare down at our screens. Celebrities have actually replaced the real stars. Our stars are on our screens instead of in our sky. And you can verify this during full moons. You can, if you know what the constellations look like when your eyeballs are on the sky, you can see this and it will make sense to you. So let me zoom out just a little bit because I wanted to show you just some other positions that I think are important to understand. So first we're just orienting ourselves. We have Sun and Moon here in Cancer. We have Jupiter here in Gemini. We have Venus just completing her transit of Taurus. And on the 29th or 27th, I think, we'll be ingressing into Gemini. And that'll be a big deal. We'll feel that shift because this right here is the crossing of the outer bands of the Milky Way galaxy. So we have our sun's ecliptic and the galactic ecliptic, creating this cross here between Auriga, Orion, Gemini, and Taurus. And then, of course, we have Uranus over here, conjunct the Pleiades, which is, of course, in the constellation of Taurus. Uranus, it is not in Gemini, y'all, not yet, okay? So when these tropical astrologers are telling you, oh my gosh, get ready for just this mental quicksand and mental shocks with Uranus going into Gemini, we're not there yet. We need to ground Uranus's energy and these light codes that we're receiving into our bodies and into the world around us. And that's why the difference is so profound and so interesting. What I'd like to do now is show you the other side of the sky. Oh, here's Mars real quick. Mars is entering into Virgo very shortly. So we have Mars just at the cusp here with our south node in Leo. And then let's look at the remainder of the sky. I'm just going to nudge this sky a little bit time-wise so that it moves into view a little bit easier. There's our galactic center with Sagittarius, Ophiuchus, Scorpio, and Libra. That's the other side. So when we were looking at Orion, Auriga, and Gemini and Taurus, that was the opposite side of the sky. And here's the galactic center. So this is the inner Milky Way galaxy. And here you can see Scorpio, Ophiuchus, Sagittarius, and Libra. So what we have going on over here is Saturn and Neptune still in the constellation of Pisces. They are not in Aries either. So we've had two huge shifts that tropical astrologers are telling you is happening. And it's not yet. Neptune won't actually be in Aries until the year 2040. Uranus will not be in Gemini until the year 2032. Saturn won't even get near Aries until 2027 or 28. I'll have to check. But here, if we zoom in a little bit, yeah, there we go. Neptune and Saturn conjunct in Pisces. And you can see Saturn at night now. So if you wait till the, let's see, this is 2 a.m, it'll be midheaven. You can go outside and verify for yourself that Saturn is right here in Pisces. Some say it doesn't matter, that the archetypes, they're based on seasons, and they work. They work because the conjunctions are the same. The moon phases are the same. The aspects between the planets are the same, but their positions are not. And so your sun sign's different. Your moon sign may be different. Your rising sign may be different. And I promise you, if you align to the actual cosmos with your own personal astrology, miraculous things will be happening in your life. And then the final thing I want to show you is Pluto. We have to look up Pluto in this program because it's not an official planet. It's a distant object asteroid. But here you can see the program places it right here between Sagittarius and Capricorn. That's right. Pluto isn't an Aquarius either. It's not going to be an Aquarius until 2040. So do we have some big shifts coming in 2040? We sure do. We have even bigger shifts coming in 2032. They're always coming. But if we prepare in the actual energy of the natural sky, we'll be ready for those shifts. It's too soon to be doing the things for a Saturn in Aries or a Uranus in Gemini or even a Pluto in Aquarius. It's too soon for that. We haven't done the work in Capricorn. Okay, so I will get off my soapbox. Hopefully you all understand that we are using the actual sky and why, because when you look up, it's so simple. I don't have to take a calendar and an ephemeris and try to figure out where all these things are. I can literally look straight up. Now, I do have a wonderful software program called Capricorn Prometheus that you can get at masteringthezodiac.com that I use every single day. It's paid for itself 1,000 times over because it's just an amazing program. And it's the best, most accurate thing we have to look at the actual sky. So the other cool thing about this moon, and actually, since I turned the wheel a little bit, we are into 725. I just learned about this through David and Bella with Quantum Planet Healing or Wellness or Quantum Planet World. They do geomancy and they work with the Mayan calendar. And I just spoke with them the other day, and they reported to me that in fact the 25th is the day out of time on the Mayan calendar. So if you have 13 28-day lunar cycles, July 25th happens to be the odd day out. The 13 times 28 is 364. So this is the odd day out. And it's just so synchronous and so interesting. We'll be seeing them on our channel, and I will be visiting their channel shortly. So I'm very excited to learn from them, and they're excited to learn from me as well, because they are transitioning from tropical to constellational astrology. They've felt the call to do so. And you guys, it's not for everybody. Not everybody's ready to make that switch. And so if you're still here and listening to me, I'm proud of you, and I'm here to help you in any way that I can if you're interested in learning more about this. Let me see if there's anything else I wanted to say about our sky. No, that's it. So yeah, this moon will be this day will be the day out of time. All right, let's get into the presentation. I'm just going to go over the aspects of this moon. We're going to talk about the energy of sun and moon in Cancer, its opposition to Pluto, and all the other aspects that are being made, and why we're calling this a purging moon. Okay, friends, here we go. So let's look at the chart. What you're looking at here is that three-dimensional stellosphere that was all around us on the ground. Like if you stand outside and you look up, you can look in a 360-degree fashion and you can see 180 degrees of that sphere above your head. And what we do in astrology is we take a slice through that stellosphere at the exact ecliptic that the sun travels every year. And that's why we care about these particular constellations. That's why we don't have, Polaris sitting on this chart somewhere. You can put it on there, but it's not actually on this 5-degree ecliptic here. And as we go through this chart, you'll see that it actually does match the sky. Sun and moon in Cancer at 7 degrees. This looks exactly like what we saw in the sky. You saw Mercury, you saw Jupiter, you saw Venus and Taurus. And then we flipped the sky around and we were able to see Saturn and Neptune. And then we asked the software to find Pluto for us. And you see, this is the sky. It's represented by the constellation. So this is not tropical astrology. This is also not Vedic astrology. Those crazy triangular diagrams and all those foreign words to me, I don't do it. This is simple for me. This is easy for me. So this is what I'm going to share with you. So sun, moon, the sun is the highest expression of your spiritual self. In Cancer, it's nurturing, it's empathetic, it's intuitive, it's motherly, it's ancient. It talks about your lineage, the soul, the seat of the soul, the place deep within you that only you know, that you may not even know. This may be a part of yourself that's actually hidden from you. Okay. And then the moon, which rules Cancer, okay, is the emotional, the reflective, the receptive side of you. So sun's your ego and the moon is your emotions. We have ego and emotions here in a very deep and tender part of our collective astrology. Now, this is the merging of solar and lunar light. It opens a portal of deep nourishment, cellular recall. It calls us back to our roots, back into the womb, back into the feeling of being held. This is not a beginning from the mind, but a beginning from the body and from the soul. This moon is opposing Pluto. Okay, Pluto retrograde in Capricorn. Let's talk a little bit about this position. If we really think Pluto's here in Aquarius, then all the work that it should have been doing through Capricorn hasn't been done yet. The work through Sagittarius is killing the ego of Sagittarius, which is a rueful pride in your dogma, in your beliefs. Like the beliefs that we once held so tightly to our chest and our breast no longer apply anymore. I feel like the 15 years that the actual Pluto in the actual sky transited through the actual constellation of Sagittarius really dug deep at what it is we believe and why, getting down to the truth of why we believe what we believe. And I think that the 2020 and 2020 through 2022 really did a number on us. It said, okay, yeah, maybe we don't believe in these global organizations anymore. Maybe we don't believe in a global religion anymore. Maybe we don't believe in big corporate, big government, big religion, big education. Maybe all of that stuff isn't something we really need to be believing in. And as a consequence of those new beliefs, where we're homeschooling, where we're treating ourselves, where we're returning the body back to homeostasis, where we're rejecting the global ideology, maybe that work now in Capricorn for Pluto is to break those structures because they're no longer serving us. And we can't reach the promised land of Aquarius until we do that, until we break down those structures. This is about a 12-year transit, so we have time. But mark my words, what you will find over the next decade and a half or so is that these structures we once believed in so wholeheartedly at the beginning of the century will no longer serve us and no longer be around. Okay. Now, for this current lunation, anything that passes over this spot in Cancer, whether it's Venus, Mercury, Moon, Sun, Uranus, Mars, there is a purging here. There's an energy of letting go of that which is not authentic, that which does not serve us. Pluto here holds this weight of ancestral authority, hardened structures, karmic contracts. And the Cancer moon is not going to respond with war or action like Mars did when it was in its opposition. It's going to respond with withdrawal, choosing to remember what it feels like to be safe. This opposition unearths what we have buried in the name of survival. What have you been hiding just to survive? And on a very personal level, that can go a whole lot of different ways, because a lot of us are just surviving, aren't we? We're not speaking our truth because we're trying to survive. So the reckoning is real, but so is the release. This contact with Pluto will allow you to release that and realize that you are safe, that you don't need to survive anymore. So that's what this purge is about. It's not against you, it's not to you, it's for you. It's so you can find that space within your center where you're safe, where you're connected with spirit, where nothing can touch you. There's a beautiful energy here with Sun and Moon, also with Pluto, that adds on Black Moon Lilith, Saturn and Neptune, Sun and Moon. Okay, so we see this sextile to Pluto from Black Moon Lilith, and we see Saturn and Neptune making a sextile to Pluto as well. Black Moon Lilith is in a trine to this energy. A lot of us know what these two guys are, but what's Black Moon Lilith? Well, if you think of chaos, if you think of Nyx, if you think of the primordial darkness, the beginning, the quantum foam, the space of potentials, this is an energy where we're so powerful. It's even more powerful than Pluto. And being in Scorpio, it's that energy of the dark abyss of the unknown. What can you create from what has been banished? That's what she's asking you. The energy that's not allowed into the light, the energy that creates without seed, that literally just sparks from nothingness. It's all right here in that space of potentials. And within Scorpio, it can come from profound healing and profound deep shadow work. So we have shadow work trining into this Cancer moon, and it's water, right? This is a water energy, and this is water energy over here. So deep emotional tides, deep undercurrents of what we are trying to understand about ourselves. So the sun and moon anchor the Cancer womb, and Saturn and Neptune retrograde in Pisces bring an integrity to your dreams. So if there's a dream that you're having, something that you want to create, something that might seem taboo, unfamiliar, perhaps even something that you label as worthy of banishment, may be ready to be worked upon by this grand trine. Black Moon Lilith in early Scorpio remembers the sacred power of what was cast out, and together they form a current of embodied knowing, ancestral reclamation, and emotional mastery. This is literally a holy circuit, right? This is the inner and outer you in the safest of places, pulling out the dream through structure and understanding and integrity from a space that's wholly powerful and creative. And all of this simply requires the purging energy of Pluto. You have to break down that which doesn't serve you anymore. That's the goal here. Wow, this is so powerful. This is probably what I would focus on, going into your dream world and changing things from that dark void space, that space of potentials. That's where manifestation happens much more quickly. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but the energy is supporting you so that it happens for you 100%. All right. So Sun and Moon are also in a sextile to Uranus. And Uranus is at the top of the kite with Black Moon Lilith. So look, there's another kite here. That trine is still activated, but this time instead of the focal point being Pluto, now it's Uranus. And what is Uranus? Uranus in Taurus is a completely different energy than Gemini. We're not ready for that type of robotic, new age energy. We have to ground these light codes into the body and into the physical realm before the energy of Uranus and Gemini can be realized. And conjunct the Pleiades, holy smokes, if you're into the Galactic Federation, if you work with alien races, you're probably receiving quite a few downloads, light codes, just energies that you're still trying to understand that you can only process in the body. All right. So this deep creative space from the space of potentials, looking straight at the light codes being transmitted in your physical body and your physical space, also working with the sun and moon and Saturn and Neptune. So this sextile is not quiet. It's a subtle spark, though, Change will not come like lightning now. It arrives through the senses. A smell, a touch, a tremor in the land may carry the codes that you need. This position of Uranus here with the Pleiades awakens the body's knowing of its origins and its true roots. The moon in Cancer listens. Something shifts in the foundation. A door opens softly and says, "Are you ready?" This is a big deal. So those are the nice energies. Those are the beautiful energies associated with this moon. The moon and sun have one more aspect. And look at this. There's no personal planets except for Saturn hooking up with sun and moon over the next week or so. It's all these older archetype energies, these ancient archetype energies, the OGs working with us on a very personal and very, very deep level. So it just screams go inward and work with this. And then the square to Chiron. And Chiron is actually T-squaring both Pluto and the moon. So what's happening here? Well, remember these two kites. They want us to work with the Pluto, Saturn, Neptune, Uranus energy, digging deep from that dark space's creative potentials via the nurturing, rooted energy of Cancer, Sun, and Moon. But Chiron, our wound, our healer, our teacher, is making a T-square to both Pluto and to Sun and Moon. Chiron in Pisces is the loss of spirit, disconnection from source. Okay, so it would seem to me, friends, that if you are disconnected from your source, if you are not connected to something holier and higher than yourself, that this is going to be more of a very purging ego moon for you. Very, very uncomfortable. However, Chiron is also our greatness because our connection to spirit is where our greatness comes from. If you follow those nudges, they can be so quiet. You literally have to turn out the world, turn away the world if you're not already practiced in this. Turn off the television, turn off the social media. Listen inward. What is being nudged within you? It might sound weird because it's coming from Uranus too, but you have to trust it because it's guiding you to something really big and really, really wonderful. But if you're disconnected, this is where the challenge comes in. This is where the pain comes in. This is where you'll be reminded of your wounds, your insecurities, your lack of trust in something greater than yourself. So this is wild right here. But yeah, I would say this is a big one. This is what I wrote for this. It's triple tension binds the lunar rebirth to both cosmic wound and the underworld gatekeeper. Pluto is stripping away the illusions. Chiron reveals the injury. The moon holds the emotion. And then something ancient is being exposed. This T-square does not demand action. It asks for surrender. So sit in the center of the triangle and let yourself come undone. It's really the best way to deal with this. We also have to look at the lunar nodes when we're talking about lunar energy. So let's see what that feels like. And here we have a brand new nodal axis that we haven't worked with in over 19 years. We have South Node in Leo, North Node in Aquarius. This is a pretty standard axis, even in tropical astrology and also for constellational astrology. The South Node, as it's moved from Virgo to Leo, the difference with Virgo energy is remembering that matriarchal mitochondrial DNA, those ancient codes, the divine trauma from the maternal ancestral line. And now we're in Leo. We've done many eclipse seasons through Virgo, healing that, tapping into it, accepting it, using it as our strength and our power. And now we're in a very wonderful, joyful, innocent place. It's asking us to be reminded and to remember our true divinity. I think it was Matthew 18:3 or 30, where they said, if you're like a child, you're more likely to enter the kingdom of heaven. And here it is. So it's remembering how special and unique and wonderful you are. It's ruled by the sun. So there's ego energy here, but I love Leo energy. It's not really about ego. It's about truly knowing the self. And that's the journey of Leo, to truly know and love the self. You have Mars conjunct the South Node right now. This feels like a draining of energy. And I've definitely been feeling this over the last few weeks. It's been just as it approaches and separates from the South Node. The South Node can be a spot where you kind of lose that mojo. So just a few more days and Mars will be in Virgo, wanting to rework everything, wanting to start from the bottom up and rebuilding everything that has been built. And so our collective journey is from this remembering of our divinity to working with the goals of the higher collective, futuristic thinking, inspiratory ideas, innovations, inventions, right? This is going to be the next 2 years, you're going to see a spike in computer automation, AI, language learning models, robots. All of this is going to come through during this time because it by using them correctly, by letting them help us in our daily grind in life, we are able to go back to ourselves, back to our play, back to our fun, back to who we're supposed to be. So I love this axis. I'm excited to see what these eclipses bring through for us in the coming months and years. You will see that Venus is in a T square to both the South Node and Mars, and then the North Node. And this T square is interesting. Venus is exalted here in Taurus. This is her home space. And she's standing at this crossroads between the lunar nodes, where we're going, where we want to go, or where we're going and where we've been. And it reveals a karmic choice in all the mundane things that Venus deals with in love, money, and embodiment. But Venus is so much more than that. It's about your creative potential. It's about your legacy, your procreative and your creative legacy. That's Venus's path to immortality. She attains enlightenment through gaining wisdom in the senses, what you see, what you taste, what you smell, what you touch. So it can be a very real and visceral experience, this crossroads that you're standing in here. Are you choosing what is comfortable, or are you choosing what is true? Are you clinging to things that cannot evolve or change? The square is going to break this illusion for Venus. It reorients your desire, your inspiration to create. This will be a sacred discomfort and one that realigns with your individual path. There are two energies that are not aspected, which I think is really, really interesting. Let's see. So we have Mercury retrograde that went retrograde on the 17th and will go direct again on the 10th of August, and Jupiter completely unaspected in this chart. This doesn't happen a lot, but it's very, very interesting. So let's take a look at see what this feels like. So Jupiter, the cosmic teacher, the one that expands, gives blessings, can go over the top and be too much sometimes as well, stands alone and unaspected. He's not really speaking, not yet. This silence isn't exile, it is a gestation. There is wisdom gathering here around this new moon and around the Gemini Jupiter energies. The story is still being written and it's going to come in whispers. But the next thing that aspects Jupiter is going to be a huge expansion. So we'll have to watch the charts and see what the next thing that Jupiter aspects will be. Jupiter is aspecting star Sirius right now. I might actually go back to the sky and show you this. That was the one other thing I wanted to show you, is that we're approaching this month also the heliacal rising of star Sirius. In fact, I will do that before we get into the individual reads. So let's see. And then Mercury retrograde is all by himself too, not really aspecting anything at the moment. So this is an unusual translation. This is something that doesn't come through in words, but is very mercurial in its way. It almost actually supports not speaking. Okay. And during Mercury retrograde, sometimes that's the best thing you can do, because it's very likely that whomever you're speaking it to doesn't even hear you the way you intended them to hear you. That's just Mercury retrograde. However, Mercury is transmitting to you big time. The frequencies are so strong when Mercury is retrograde that if you're not listening, if you're just letting your mind ramble on, you'll find your world full of chaos. But if your thoughts are mindful, if your thoughts are intentional, if you're listening within, it can be a powerful time of manifestation and also reconnecting to source, which is what the whole geometry here speaks to. So it invites a deeper listening to the tone, to the resonance, not to the logic of the words. This is the voice of the inner child. the inner mother, and the intuition that speaks without punctuation. So, really listen here if you can. Really, really listen here if it's possible. All right. We just concluded the general reading for the new moon. Stick around because I'm going to take you through your individual soul star, and I'm also going to show you how to know what your soul star is. But the one of the things I forgot to show you in the beginning was the heliacal rising of star Sirius. This is very, very beautiful. And I want to put the landscape back in, and I want to go to the eastern sky. What you're going to see as the sun rises, as we progress through the days, I'm going to advance the date a little bit. You're going to see by very early August the heliacal rising of star Sirius. Here it is. If you follow Orion's belt straight down to the brightest star, that is star Sirius. So star Sirius has been occulted by sunlight because it was uh, setting in the west, but as sun moves through Gemini and Cancer, we don't see star Sirius. As the sun transits into Cancer and into Leo, then we do. We start to see star Sirius again. So there it is. So probably after the first week of August, if you look out to the east before the sunrise, you're going to see the heliacal rising of star Sirius. And this marked the Egyptian New Year. This was the beginning of the flood season for them when they would see this. And what's so interesting is that 5,000 years ago, this particular alignment happened during the solstice. That was when this happened. And we are 6 weeks past the solstice. So this proves to you that our sky is shifting because it's no longer the solstice, it's after the solstice. The Egyptian empire rose and fell with this particular alignment and movement. And what happened over time, very slowly, is that this drifted and the floods came sooner than the stars. So the stars stopped warning them of the floods. And that's when their empire began to fall. So this matters. It matters where the stuff is. It may not matter to us when we're watching our screens, but it definitely matters right now. All right, so let's get into the individual readings and then we will call it a day. All right, friends, real quick, before I get into the individual readings, I wanted to remind you about this new course that I've just launched with Ria Larmond. We earlier this summer taught each other our individual Hellenistic techniques that we each enjoy. I taught her zodiacal release and she taught me perfections, and we recorded those sessions. And what we decided to do was to bring it together and to teach it to you using your charts as examples. And so on August 8th, at 6 p.m., that's a full moon. We are going to do a chart lab. We're going to take your charts and your information and apply these techniques to your charts for you to understand timing techniques through these Hellenistic techniques. You're not going to get an instructive program like this anywhere. Hellenistic techniques are taught everywhere in tropical astrology, but if you're doing constellational astrology, it doesn't help you. So we have adapted it for use with 13 sign astrology. So I do hope you guys join us. It's going to be $88 until August 1st. After that, it's $111. So jump on there. And then Stellar Foundation students, you guys get a 33% discount on this course on the early bird price. So please join us if you want to do that. You don't have to be an astrology expert. You just need to know your signs, your planets, and what those energies mean for you. And that's basically it. And then also for channel members, we are going to get together on our July monthly Zoom call. I will be getting back from Mexico on the 25th, the day out of time. And then on the 26th, we will have our Zoom call at 6 p.m. Check the post tabs next Friday. Just for the members, you'll see the Zoom link and you guys can jump on the call with us. And, bring your chart, bring your questions. We'll go through it all. All right, my loves, here we go. Timestamps will be below if you want to jump right to your soul star sign if you already know it. But if you don't, listen here because I want to tell you how you can do that. You can check where soul was in the sky the day you were born. If you go to my website, drdanny.com, and click on free chart, or just type in free chart, it will take you to an online web calculator. I don't even need your email. You don't even have to get on my email list. And it will generate a chart for you based on the day, time, location that you were born. You're going to look for this circle with a dot in the middle, and you're going to see what sign or constellation it's sitting in. If you don't know what the sign symbols are, you can look that up anywhere and you should be able to find out what that is. The constellation you find it in is your soul star sign. In other words, your sun sign in constellational astrology. Or for convenience sake, I went ahead and I listed the days that the sun transits through the different constellations for you. So if your birthday falls between 7/17 and 8/6, your soul star is a Cancer. If you've been told you were a Leo, I'm so sorry, but you're not. You're actually a Cancer. Any of you born from 7/20 to 8/6 probably think you're a Leo, but you're not. You're actually a Cancer. And it may resonate with you a little bit more than being a Leo. Leos, your soul star sign is if you were born 8/7 to 9/14. So again, it's pushed back a little bit. Virgo, anyone born in October is a Virgo. That's why I don't have the month of October here, because if you were born in October, you are a Virgo. You're not a Libra. You're not the beginning of Scorpio. You are literally a Virgo. So from September 15th to November 3rd, you guys are Virgo soul stars. Libra, you're not Scorpios. Or people that think you're Scorpios in tropical, you're actually Libras. So from November 4th to November 22nd, a very small constellation, you are constellational Libra. You want to check out the link below. If you were born between 11/23 and 12/18, you're actually a Scorpio and or an Ophiuchus. This part of the sky is a little bit muddy in terms of when Scorpio ends and Ophiuchus begins. Ophiuchus ends at the galactic center. That's where Sagittarius begins. And Scorpio begins where Libra ends. Okay. But where the dividing line between the two is, it's a little fuzzy. There's about 3 different versions of it out there. So I lump you guys all together in these readings. But if you do know the exact position of your sun, or if you see it in the chart you generate where the soul star is in the black portion of that blue and black spot in the sky, then you're probably more Ophiuchus than you are Scorpio. Think of it as a gradient. So from 11/23, you're probably more Scorpionic. And from around 12/18, you're probably more Ophiucan. Sagittarius, you were born from December 19th to January 19th. Not a Capricorn. Capricorns, your birthday is from January 20th to February 13th. From February 14th, Valentine's Day, to March 9th, you're an Aquarius. From March 10th to April 20th, you are a Pisces. That's right. Look at that. Springtime, the beginning of the vernal equinox or the autumnal equinox, if you're in the southern hemisphere, is not in Aries. Aries doesn't actually start till a month later. Yes, that's how far off we are, you guys. It is so crazy. So Aries is from April 21st to May 12th. From May 13th to May 9th or June 19th, you're a Taurus. You guys probably were told you were Geminis. Aries, you were told you were Taurus. Geminis, you were probably told you are Cancer. So these are the dates. This is what we work with. Let me just, for funsies, show you the spreadsheet that I was referring to that I use to help me translate the degrees between tropical and constellational. So here you can see that the tropical degrees are listed on the left and the sidereal degrees in the midpoints, not Vedic, true constellational, are here. So if you were told you were an Aries, you're actually a Pisces. If you were told you were a Taurus, at least early Taurus, you're probably an Aries. Taurus agrees for a little bit here for about 8 days, but then we stay Taurus for a while. And then you can see here, the true sidereal is just a little bit farther behind. So we're having this sun moon combination, this new moon right here at 7 degrees of sidereal Cancer, which is 1 degree of Leo. It gets even worse as you get further on in the year. So Virgo, our Virgo is 48 degrees in size. So it spans a little bit of tropical Virgo, all of tropical Libra, and a lot of tropical Scorpio. So those of you that are sort of swimming in these late Libra, early Scorpio and tropical, the October babies, y'all are Virgos. But that's not a bad thing. Virgo's awesome. And then you Scorpios are actually Libras. Sagittarius, you're actually either Scorpios or Ophiuchans. And you can see here how it's just off a little bit. So that's that. Let's get into your individual reads. We'll start with Cancer soul star signs. Cancer, happy birthday. If you're born between July 17th and August 6th, this is a first house solar lunation for you, meaning that throughout your year, this first lunation has first house energy. And that also means that the full moon during this cycle, which will happen to be in Capricorn in the actual sky, is a seventh house energy for you. Let's see what that chart looks like with your sun placed over it. So if you're a Cancer sun, soul star Cancer sun, meaning that this sun moon is conjunct your natal sun for the most part. And we count this as the first house. So when the full moon comes and is in Capricorn right here, this will be a seventh house energy for you. So this lunation begins and ends with you. The new moon calls you inward, asking you to shed old self-perceptions and root into your body's truth. By the full moon, your partnerships become the sacred mirror through which your new identity is reflected. You will also have Mercury retrograde going over your sun this month. So this will definitely be a time for that inward reflection, truly listening to what it is that Pluto is asking you to purge. It's literally standing across from your sun right now, and Pluto will be transiting your natal sun for about 3 to 5 years, really destroying that ego, so to speak, calling out the true, authentic self that you are. All right. And then, of course, your sun will be involved in this grand trine kite formation with Black Moon Lilith, Saturn, and Neptune, as well as Uranus making a sextile and a trine to this energy. So you are deeply connected to the Uranus energy. You're deeply connected to the OG Saturn Neptune energy, and deeply connected to the Pluto energy during this lunation. Who are you really? That's what you need to ask yourself. Now, if you did pull your chart and you notice that your Cancer sun is maybe down here in a different house, then you can add another layer of that energy to you. But that you'll need to sort of analyze yourself. So if in fact your Cancer sun sits in the fifth house of your natal chart, then while this is a first house solar lunation, this particular lunation will focus on fifth house and 11th house energies. If you need a reading with me, my links are below. You can check that out. I can hammer all of this out for you. But if you're doing your own chart analysis, that's how you'll want to do it. So when you're working with sun and moon, this is the first house energy. This is I am, and then relationships. Who am I to you, and who are you to me? And as we move around the zodiac, this will make more sense. So let's move on to the next soul star sign, which is Gemini. So if you're born June 20th to July 16th, you are a Gemini soul star sign. This means that last month was your birthday. Last lunation was a first house solar lunation for you. This month, this lunation is a second house solar lunation. So if I missed your birthdays last month, Geminis, happy birthday, second house lunation. And the full moon will be part of the eighth house energy that opposes second house for your solar lunation energy. Again, the same thing applies here. If your sun in Gemini is not in it in the second house, but might be, in fact, the way this chart is in the ninth house, you can also add that layer to make this particular lunation, just the moon, important for you. If it's eighth house energy, or we're doing second, eighth house, but let's say it's in your 11th house, then that means you're working with an 11th house, fifth house on a very personal, deep level for the moon. But when we're talking about sun and moon, this is the second lunation of your solar cycle. So Gemini suns, your values are shifting beneath the surface. This new moon initiates a quiet reassessment of what sustains you financially, emotionally, and spiritually. The full moon opposite that in Capricorn, which will be from here to here, exposes hidden power dynamics, offering a release of old contracts or inherited entanglements. Right. So last month you were dealing with who am I and who are you? Now you're saying, what do I value, and what do I value that is yours, and what do I value that is mine? And how does that flow work together? And you've also got Jupiter conjunct your sun right now. So congratulations. That's amazing. There's going to be an expansion in that phase of that second house step that occurs during your yearly solar cycle. And Jupiter will have a big part to play in that. So congratulations, Gemini suns. All right. As we move on, we get to Taurus energy. Taurus, you guys are having a third house lunation. Your birthday was 2 months ago, from May 13th to June 19th. This is the third lunation beginning in your solar cycle, in your yearly solar cycle. So you had the first house during the month of your birthday. The second house was last month for you. And now this is a third house lunation. And the third house is all about your local groups, your deep subconscious programming, your friends, your siblings, information, and knowledge. So this is a reset in how you think, how you speak, how you relate. New pathways of communication open, especially with sibling, peers, or students. And then in a couple of weeks, when the moon is full in Capricorn, you may feel this as a ninth house energy, which invites you to expand your perspective, to claim your voice as a vessel for wisdom rather than just information. So here you guys are. You may have Uranus conjunct your sun right now. You may have Venus conjunct your sun or have just recently crossed over your sun. So if your sun lives here in Taurus, you are dealing with these two crazy wackadoos in this part of the sky, really grounding and embodying that which you valued from the last month, the decision you made about who you are and how you're going to show up in the world. This is very much an embodiment cycle for you. Now, once again, if this moon or if your sun is not in the third house, and let's say it's in the 10th house, you can also add the layer of a 10th house lunation for yourself. It could be about your work, your family, and how your work and family dynamics are embodied through the local groups, through knowledge, through wisdom sharing, and through programming. Okay, and then the full moon over here will be in a trine back to your natal sun. So this is asking you to do the purge, just like the collective purge that we're going to do, but perhaps in a way that gathers wisdom and knowledge for your ultimate personal truth. Let's move on to Aries suns. Aries, April 21st to May 12th. If you were born between these dates, you are an Aries soul star. That is your sun sign for constellational astrology. This is an angular house. So 4 months ago, when the sun was traveling through these stars, you had a first house lunation. That was the first lunation of your yearly solar cycle. Now, 4 lunations later, it is a fourth house lunation, and angles always carry a bit of energy with them because there's a buildup to the angle is intense, and then there's a waning energy afterwards. So a fourth house lunation means that the ground beneath your feet is literally changing. So in other words, you guys are square to Sun, Moon, and Pluto right now. And in that square, there's a tension. The new moon is going to draw you homeward, asking you to reconnect with ancestral memory and your emotional base. By the full moon, the world is watching, and your inner work reveals itself through your presence, through your choice, and through your leadership energy. Let's take a look at the chart. So yeah, you can see it. If you were born here, you're in a square to this energy of the sun, moon, and Pluto. Nothing is in Aries right now, so nothing is transiting over your natal sun, but you are at a cardinal angle to this lunation, both the new moon and the full moon. Okay, if you were born Pisces suns between March 10th and April 20th, those were the dates that the sun transits through the constellation of Pisces. It's a bigger constellation. It's 42 degrees. Now, 5 months ago, you had your birthday. So if when you had your birthday, that was a first house lunation for you. You've gone through the second house energy. You've gone through the third lunation. The fourth house lunation was for you last month, where it was about the deep inner work and then showing up in the world. And now you get to have a little bit of fun. Okay. This fifth house means that it's the joyful part of the cycle. It's a creative reawakening that's stirring for you. This new moon activates joy, play, and the sacred spark of creation, especially in love or artistic expression. And now the full moon will be in Capricorn and 11 houses away from your sun. So the full moon is going to return your attention to the collective, asking you to align your passions with purpose. So the first half, you get to do sort of fifth house energy, joy, play, fun. This inspires me. This excites me. I love it. And then focusing outward to how you're going to serve the collective. Now, again, this is a huge sign. So depending on where you are, early degrees or late degrees, you may feel this more as a fourth house or a fifth house. But let's not get too wrapped up in the weeds. We're just calling this Pisces sun energy the fifth lunation of your solely lunar cycle. Now, if you are in early Pisces here, then you are going to find that your Neptune and Saturn are conjunct your natal sun, and they're both retrograde. And they are in a sextile to Pluto and a trine into Sun Moon. So, again, activating this kite that we talked about when we did the general read is activating your natal sun. And look, it's already in the fifth house here. So that's pretty cool. So, fifth house, 11th house energy. This is also in a sextile back to Uranus. So, if your sun's right here, you are literally tapped into all this OG energy. And you probably already intuitively feel that need to go inward. And your dreamscape might be actually quite joyful and wonderful right now. Those of you with later suns in Pisces might be feeling the effects of Chiron, which is square to this energy of the sun, moon, and Pluto. So let me know in the comments if your Pisces sun's born between those two dates, which of this you're feeling. Are you feeling this OG energy, this inward energy, a very active and joyful dreamscape? Or are you feeling into the wounds and into Chiron and what's happening around in your life? If you need a read, let me know. I can help you, okay? All right, so that is Pisces suns. Moving on to Aquarius. So from February 14th to March 9th, you are an Aquarius soul star sign. That means the sun was moving through this constellation the day that you were born. And for you all with this birthday, this particular new moon and its subsequent full moon is a sixth house solely lunation. That means that 6 months ago, you had your birthday and working with first house energy. And the full moon will be affecting 12th house energy. So your body is asking for rhythm and care. Sixth house, right? It's about the body, it's about routines, it's about health. The new moon is going to bring awareness to this energy, to this sacred service that you're performing. When you get to the full moon, 2 weeks later, you're being called to rest and to listen to what your soul is trying to integrate from behind the veil. So let's put that sun right there. And again, we're 6 houses away, right? Or this sun is 6 houses away from you. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. So this lunation is the 6th new moon for your solely lunar cycle. And you all may have the North Node nearby. You may have asteroid Lilith nearby in your Aquarius. And this energy is square to both Black Moon Lilith and Uranus. So you're truly, this may be asking you to bring out some unique energies or unknown energies within the realm of, your sacred service, your routines, and your health as well. Very, very interesting. And then by the time we get to that full moon, this is not a time of high activity for you guys. This is going to be a time of rest. That moon's going to be right here in the 12th house from your natal sun. So that full moon, it's a time of rest. It'll be conjunct Pluto. Purge, 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 purge. If anybody needs to purge energy, get rid of old habits that are not working for you, it's you Aquarius suns for this solar lunation. All right, we are halfway through. Capricorn soul stars, you were born between January 20th and February 13th. This is the second half of your solely lunar year. This means that 6 months ago you had your birthday, and your first house or your full moon this time around will be a first house moon. Your relationships are the energy that you need to focus on during this lunation. So as the new moon comes and as that moon waxes, peaks, and descends, it will stir relational growth, tenderness, karmic closure. And the full moon's going to turn the spotlight on you. illuminating how you have shifted over the past 6 months and what still must be claimed as your truth. So, the peak of your solar lunar cycles, Capricorns, is literally about relationships and how you show up in the relationship. Let's see what your chart looks like. So, Capricorns, yeah, you are going to have Sun, Pluto transiting over your natal sun here in the next several years. So while the Cancers are in opposition to Pluto, the Cancer suns that live here have Pluto in their opposition, you get to experience a once in maybe in every other lifetime event where Pluto transits over your sun. Check out the Sun Pluto cycle video that I did about Pluto transiting over your natal sun, because this is applying to you for the next 3 to 5 years. But again, this is at the point halfway through your solar lunar cycle, and it's about how you show up in relationships. And Pluto will transform that over the next several years. You're going to show up very differently in relationships, not just with partners, but also business relationships, how you deal with other human beings. You're also very much tapped in this lunation to this kite formation with Pluto and Saturn, Neptune, Black Moon Lilith, and Uranus. Sagittarius soul stars. Sagittarius, you guys used to think you were Capricorns because that's what the tropical system tells you. According to seasonology and the calendar, you're a Capricorn. Deal with it, achieve. But you're not. You were actually born through the stars of Sagittarius, meaning that that faith, that optimism, that belief in something greater and something higher than yourself, the excitement of what is right beyond the next horizon, that's you. You experience that deep in your soul. So from December 19th to January 19th, Sagittarius soul stars. Now, this is the 8th lunation of your yearly solar cycle. So this lunation is occurring 8 signs away from your natal soul star. This means that something old is ready to die within you. This new moon is in your 8th house, and it's initiating a deep transformation, emotional, sexual, or financial. And that transformation, as the moon waxes to the full moon, reminds you that your stability is sacred and must be rebuilt with what is true. And what you're going to find, guys, is that as you move through these solar lunar cycles, you will find that these themes are playing out in a yearly fashion throughout your life in ways that are more true than even I can express for you. So there you are, Sagittarius. There's your sun. And again, if your Sagittarius sun is in a different sign than the 8th house, that's okay. What I'm referring to is that if we look at where your sun is and we count how many signs away this lunation is occurring, we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And 8th house is transformation, sex, death, and secrets. And then the full moon will be occurring in 2nd house from your natal sun here in Capricorn. So that full moon will be conjunct Pluto and in your 2nd house. So powerful themes, powerful transformation, powerful purging of energies that no longer serve you, Sagittarius suns. All right, now we're moving on to the fuzzy boundary part of the sky. Where is the boundary between Scorpio and Ophiuchus? I'm reading y'all's energy together. Okay, here's the subtle difference. So if you're an Ophiuchus sun, you're going to be closer to this galactic center point. Okay, if you're a Scorpio sun, you're going to be a little bit closer to the Libra scales and the claws of Scorpio. So it just depends. If you're early Scorpio, you might feel more scorpionic energy. If you're late Ophiuchus, you may be more into the Ophiuchus realm. So whatever's here is very important to you. But for both of you, this is a 9th house lunation. I keep these two together because if you count to where this is all 1st house, 2nd house, 3rd house, 4th, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, we're not there yet. Both Scorpio and Ophiuchus are having a 9th house lunation with the full moon in Capricorn. So let's look at this chart. Your beliefs are going to be evolving this lunation. After you've gone through, the first half of your cycle and then the 8th house transformative cycle, this is now the ninth house. This is like the light at the end of the tunnel. So if last month was difficult for you guys, you Scorpio and Ophiuchans, it's because it was an eighth house lunation. And typically, when we move into the ninth house lunation, it feels like there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that things are finally coming together, that there's something to believe in and something to strive for. So your beliefs are evolving. The new moon offers a new spiritual or intellectual horizon, while the full moon is going to bring clarity around how you express what you now know. And I don't mean the KNOW, I mean the GNO, the gnosis. Speak from the wound, don't speak of the wound itself. So if there was a wound last month, if it's been a difficult month for you, process that, integrate it. This is going to be the month to do that, where that wisdom will actually come through for you. All right, so Scorpio and Ophiuchus. Libra suns, another very quick energy. If you're born from November 4th to November 22nd, your soul star sign is Libra. You're not a Scorpio. This is a career or legacy reset. This is another cardinal angle for you guys, okay? Fourth house, seventh house, 10th house. So this is the final sort of challenge of your yearly solilunar cycle. This particular round will be focused around career and legacy. The new moon stirs a new cycle in your public life, one rooted in authenticity, not performance. The full moon is going to bring you back to your inner foundation, asking what must be healed in the home before you rise any further. Here's what it looks like in the chart. Here's Libra. You may have Black Moon Lilith kind of moving around your sun here in the last few months, opening you up. Wherever your Libra is, wherever that if you've got, let's say your Libra is actually in the first house, your sun is actually in your first house, it's always in your first house. But because we're anchoring this cycle to your sun, this is a 10th house lunation for your sun. So it is a cardinal angle, cardinal type of energy about career and home. You're going to rise, you're going to shine. But remember here, what needs to be healed. The sun's going to pass over your natal sun, or the moon's going to pass over your natal sun and then make a conjunction with Pluto for that full moon. So it's about asking what must be healed or purged in the home in order for you to actually shine. Virgo, another big constellation. This is 48 degrees of pure birthing mother sky goddess energy. For those of you that have tropical Libra and Scorpio, the reason you feel so much angst is because you are not expressing yourself in the fullest potential of Virgo. You guys are master magicians, earth wizards, earth sorcerers that can control the elements and energy. But if you're not realizing that, if you're not awoken to that, then you feel the angst of Libra and Scorpio because you're being told that's what your energy is. All of October is Virgo Soul Star, September 15th to November 3rd. This is the 11th lunation of your solilunar cycle. So you've had 10 lunar cycles before now, and now you're about to go into your 11th lunation. A new vision is forming. The new moon reconfigures your friendships, your collaborations, and dreams for the future. And the full moon is going to call you back to your heart. Joy, love, and self-expression will be your compass now as this full moon approaches. Let's look at the chart and see what's in Virgo. Virgo will be joined by Mars this month. So by the time the moon moves into its full moon position, Mars will be at the ready and at your service to your sun, and will be eventually making a transit over your natal sun. Now, this lunation may feel like a 10th house lunation also, just because of its angular position to the new moon and because Virgo is so large. But because we're counting signs, if we look, this is if your sun's right here, this is first house, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seven, 8, 9, 10, 11. And likely we actually have 13 lunations every year. And so I probably ought to redo these so that, and I'm doing this for you Virgos, probably ought to redo this so that I actually have 13 houses when it comes to these lunations. But I'm just trying to keep the general flow for you. So as these lunations progress each year, each month of each year, you're going through a first house through 12th house arc. So you may still be in that 10th house energy, but you're approaching the 11th house, either in this month or in the next month, depending on where you are in your Virgo. So, Virgos, if you have questions, please email me. I would be happy to answer you as specifically as I possibly can. All right, Leo soul stars. I thought I was a Leo for many, many years until I realized that the sun was in Cancer on my birthday, August 4th. So, for those of you that are August 7th to September 14th, you are actually true Leos. You might think you're Virgos, but no, you are here to shine. You are here for it to be all about you. However, because your birthday is next month, you are in a 12th house lunation. This is the last lunation of the year for you. So it might be the 12th or the 13th lunation for you. What you're going to feel, Leo Suns, is you are dissolving in preparation for re-emergence. The new moon opens a sacred pause, a moment of inner silence where the old self disintegrates. The full moon grounds you back into your body with new habits, new rhythms, and a renewed sense of service. So, as your birthday approaches, you should be feeling very good. Again, another light at the end of the tunnel kind of moment where next month you get to re-emerge into a first house lunation. So when your birthday comes and the next new moon that follows, which will be right after, which will be right at the beginning of Leo, it'll be August 8th and 9th, 8th or 9th, depending on where you are in the world. That will be a first house lunation for you guys. So let's look at your chart. You have had Mars transiting over your sun the last little while. So that 11th house lunation and the 12th house or 10th and 11th house lunations probably had Mars going over your sun, calling you to action, calling you to the highest service of the self. But now you are in a deep space of the subconscious, working on getting ready for a new solely lunar cycle. And then by the time yeah, Mercury started its retrograde right at 0 degrees of Leo. So you guys don't really get to feel the retrograde wrath. It's us Cancer suns that get to feel it. So first house Cancer suns, I'll refer you back to the first reading. Okay, friends, if you're still with me, that concludes the individual readings for this new moon. Join the Fellowship of 13 Signs if you're not over there already. Become a channel member so you can join our monthly Zoom call and get these new moon readings earlier than everybody else. I appreciate you all so much, and I'll see you later. Namaste.